Communities in the southern region of Johannesburg are still dealing with devastating effects of the heavy floods from this week's downpours. Torrential rain swept through parts of Soweto, Protea South and Lenasia this week, leaving several homes and cars submerged in water due to poor water flow. So we take a look at the possible causes of the rising water levels and whether it's linked to poor drainage systems. We're joined by Professor Sylvester Mpandeli, who's an executive manager for water utilization in agriculture, as well as vice president of the International Commission on Irrigation and Drainage Efforts. Thank you very much, Prof, for availing yourself this morning. Maybe when we take a look at the hardest hit areas in Gauteng, Protea South, Lenasia, what do we need to understand about the infrastructure and also the place where people are staying in that would make them so vulnerable to the flooding?
Good morning to you and your Newzroom Afrika viewers. What happened in parts of Gauteng or Johannesburg, it's very unfortunate. The reality is that climate change is happening. And what we need to do, firstly, is to make sure that, we put the early warning system in place. I'm happy that South African Weather Service is dishing out advisory every time to advise the South African public about the weather situation. The second issue that we also need to do is to make sure that we put infrastructure that is resilient to any natural vagaries. And as a result of that, we need to make sure that we also clean up our drainage system before the summer season and also during the rainy period. The other issue that we also need to really push very, very hard is to raise awareness and also making sure that we build a very strong adaptive capacity and also making sure that we strengthen the resilience component. So the situation in parts of Gauteng is also compounded by the fact that some of these people or residents, they are staying in low-lying areas. Therefore, those areas are prone to floods or flooding, and as a result of that, we need to make sure that we bring in spatial planners to make sure that these people are not building in low-lying areas or along the river channels.
These spatial planners, do they come in once there's a disaster? What has experience taught us in South Africa?
Look, when we were developing the National Climate Change Response Policy in 2011, one of the proposals we made or suggested was that we need to make sure that any, especially climate change adaptation related issue, need to be integrated as part of the integrated development plan at local levels, which means that we need these special planners throughout the value chain system. We don't need them at the end because the damage or the impacts that's going to happen due to high climatic variability and change will be unmanageable, and this it will also affect the economy. So we need these people throughout, because if you look at what is happening, especially at the local level or local government, that is where service delivery is supposed to happen. So which means that people cannot just go and settle anywhere without considering the risk around those areas. So we need to jack up our system and making sure that our people are aware about the fact that if you put in, a house or infrastructure in a low-lying area, chances or probabilities of such infrastructure to be affected by floods is very, very high. So we need these people, throughout the value chain.
What do people need to know, especially about our drainage systems in the country, more so in urban areas, maybe these particular communities that were impacted, Lenasia, Protea South, Rooipoort. Is the drainage system on par?
I think what they need to understand is that those drainage system or infrastructure have been put by metros or municipalities for strategic reasons. And they cannot just dump any stuff that's going to block the drainage system, because the drainage system channels water to a specific area or specific site. And we also need to understand the fact that those drainage system needs to be maintained, whether it's during rainy season or during summer, because you will never know. What we are facing is the intensity and the frequency of floods that are taking place across the country. So therefore, we need to prepare ourselves, but also raising awareness, because if you drive in some of the areas or townships, you will see some of those drainage system that they've been blocked, or people have put dump stuff. That's obviously, if it's going to rain now or in the next hour, water will just going to flow all over. So this is a problem, and we need to work together, the community of practice, scientists, the policymakers, councillors and so on, in order to raise awareness about these issues. Otherwise, we'll keep on witnessing horrible incidents.
You speak of maintenance of these drains. Who must maintain them?
Sorry, come again?
You spoke of maintenance of the drains. Who must maintain them?
Yes, we need to. We need to maintain those drainage systems. But if you look at, all the majority of the climate change documents or plans or strategies, we talk about, resilience infrastructure, which means that we need infrastructure that is going to withstand any climate change threat. And which means that we need to change the way we are designing our infrastructure. But at the same time, we have got the responsibility to make sure that we maintain the existing one, because we cannot just face everything. There's cost implications, and the fact that, we also need to be mindful about the economy activities in this country. So we have got the responsibility to make sure that we plan our activities in a sustainable manner. Otherwise, all climate-sensitive sectors will always, experience problems, including local government, because that's where most of the service delivery are supposed to take place.
Thank you very much, Professor Sylvester Mpandeli, for joining us this morning. Water Research Commission Executive Manager for Water Utilization in Agriculture.